you, Cathaoirleach. Cathaoirleach, when I read the motion last Thursday or Friday, when I first saw it has been put down by the Labour Party, it was as if the last 5 years did not happen. We had a disastrous Fine Gael Labour government. We know from all of the reports, all of the evidence, from the OECD to Eurostat to TASC, to all of those who have looked at income inequality, looked at poverty levels, that income inequality has increased, inequality rose and workers' rights were diminished as a consequence of the policies of the previous government. We also know that the wealthy and the elites were protected and were cosseted both by Fine Gael and by the Labour Party. The poor, the disadvantaged and the working classes were abandoned. Workers in many companies were locked out of their jobs, and we saw from 2011 onwards basic needs, basic workers' rights denied to many workers across the state. So when I think of the previous Labour and Fine Gael government and their track record on workers' rights, I remember the workers in Lagan Brick, the workers in Vita Cortex, the workers in Talk in my own constituency of Waterford, Licenza, Cleary's, Dunstores, and many, many more examples where workers were denied basic rights and where workers had to engage in sit-in protests. And guess what? They got no support whatsoever from the previous government. No support from Fine Gael and no support from the Labour Party. So we had an era of sit-in protests as workers, through no fault of their own, had to occupy their places of work. That was the era that I remember. That was the Labour Party and the Fine Gael government that I remember over the last 5 years. And what we got was a continuation of the neoliberal policies of Fianna Fáil, supported by Fine Gael and the Labour Party at that time. Yes, we had an election. The Labour Party, in my view, got what they deserved because they betrayed the people who voted for them. But true to form, after they get a lashing from the electorate, after they provide a crutch to one of the Conservative parties, they come back prancing about in opposition, throwing radical shapes, pretending to be different, pretending that they now care about workers and workers' rights, that they now care about equality, that they now care about all of the issues that they did not care about over the last 5 years. If anything, this motion is a good thing. And I would say this to the Labour Party deputies that are here, because it is actually a long list of failures of this Labour government. It is the last Labour government. It is an acknowledgement of all of the things that your party failed to do over the last 5 years. So I accept that you have in your motion at least outlined all of those failures. And that has to be said when I start my contribution, because I don't think Labour can come in here into this chamber, present this motion and pretend that the last 5 years did not exist. There is, of course, a need to strengthen workers' rights, and there are many bills that we brought forward over the last 5 years that sought to protect workers' rights, that sought to enhance workers' rights, that were rejected by the previous government, including the Labour Party. We have a situation ongoing at the moment where many trade union officials are denied the right to access places of work, to engage with their members. That is happening in many retail outlets across this state. That issue of right to access was not dealt with by the previous government. Are Labour now saying that Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are going to do it when you had the chance to do it yourself, when the last government had a massive majority and yet it failed to do it? We still don't have trade union recognition. There are many companies who, of course, refuse to engage with trade unions and will still refuse to engage with trade unions. Tactical insolvencies is not a statutory offence. It is not a criminal offence. We can wash our hands when these things happen, as happened in Cleary's, but unless we change the law, unless we bring in legislation, nothing will happen. And we are preparing legislation, and we will bring forward again solutions to these problems as we have in the past, and hopefully on this occasion, when we do, we'll get the support from the party who tabled this motion today. We also, of course, have to end the abuse of if and when contracts. That is something that we, again, campaigned on, and we brought forward motions in the past that were not supported by the party who tabled this motion. We need to combat bogus self-employment, and we need to do an awful lot more. There are a number of reports which need to be implemented. I published the report on low pay, decent work and a living wage in consultation with all parties as part of the Joint Oireachtas Committee and Innovation last year. I would hope that that report can be published, as well as the Cahill Duffy expert examination on review of laws in the protection of employee interests as well. So those reports do need to be implemented as quickly as possible.